It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews, and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf.
Out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 283 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as I always am, by my partner in crime from the East Coast of the USA, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. We got a little bit of a fun show here for you today. If you've been tuning in lately, you know that we interviewed immortal drumming legend Stewart Copeland of the Police on episode number 275, talking about, yes, his time with Sting and Andy Summers, but also playing the Winter Paralympics and playing with orchestras and doing his spoken word tour, Have I Said Too Much? And it turns out that as I have moved back to the States and now back into Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville has a world-class orchestra, thanks mainly in part to the Brown family and all the other benefactors in our town, but we've always had an amazing art scene, the orchestra being part of that. And Stewart on the show praised us for having a real orchestra with real conductors like Bob Bernhardt. And he brought his show, Police Deranged for Orchestra, to Louisville. So not only did I want to see it after having interviewed him, but I figured it would be a great opportunity to take the whole family. Because, you know, some of these heavy metal shows, the wife doesn't want to go, or the kid is not old enough to go. Sometimes I want to just go me and the wife to a date night. Sometimes I want to go me and the kid to something fun that the wife doesn't like. Sometimes I want to be by myself. The real challenge is to find a show that we can all go to and enjoy. And this really fits the bill. Beautiful venue, the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts, right downtown. So the wife is interested. It's high class because it's got an orchestra, but it's also got music that me and the Wolf Cub really love. So it was a perfect opportunity for us to spend a little time together and enjoy this killer music. And Stewart will tell you that he messed up the songs to make them cool for orchestra. So some of them are very true to the original, but some of them are deranged enough that you might not even recognize them until the singers start singing. And he brought 3 amazing vocalists with him, plus a bass player and a guitar player, so he could recreate that Police vibe along with, I don't know, is it 50? Is it 60 people in the orchestra? I don't know how many people are up on stage there, but it's a lot, making some amazing sounds together. It was a pretty fun night out, so we thought we would share it with you here on the show. But first, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We'd love to mention we are proud members of the Pantheon Media family, a network of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods or at Pantheon Podcasts. And you know we're going to give a shout out to our intergalactic sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who's based in the UK, folks, but they ship all over the world and they procure record collections from all over the world as well. And if you're a Police fan, you can find original prints, you can find picture discs, you can find imports, box sets, magazine covers, anything your heart desires. And the great thing is they've given us a code UGLY, UGLY, that if you use at checkout, you can save 10% off one entire order. Not just one album, folks, but one entire order. So buy everything your heart desires, whether it's Police, Sting, Stewart Copeland, Andy Summers, or any of the over 250,000 items in stock. So go to rarevinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%. Your record collection will thank you. Now back to Stewart Copeland. He is a gregarious and intelligent man. He has a certain zest for life. And you could tell that with his playing. You could tell that in how he's rearranged these songs. And you tell that from his presence on the stage. Not everyone is built to be on stage. Of course, he had an amazing frontman in his old band, so he didn't have to necessarily be the one out front, but he did have to on this night. And he was more than capable. He was ready for it. It's something he's been doing a long time, and you can see that he's having a lot of fun in that spotlight, entertaining people and making this music that he's obviously so proud of. So let's jump in. We're talking Stewart Copeland's Police Deranged from Orchestra here on The Wolf. So once again, I find myself going to see someone play live after we have interviewed them, which I got to tell you doesn't really get old. After you've interviewed somebody and you feel like you know them a little bit, even if we only had 40 minutes with him or whatever it was, every time we interview somebody and then we go see them, you think, I feel more connected to them. I feel more of an obligation to, see them and then tell the story of their show.
And especially something like this, because this is totally, while the songs are the same, it's a different interpretation of them. So I'm glad we got that ramp up to this, because it kind of gave you, I would imagine, more of a sense of what was going to happen here.
Yeah, I would say so. And just knowing Stewart and knowing his personality, and I knew it before we interviewed him. I mean, we've seen him in interviews and his movies and all that kind of stuff over the years.
Yeah.
But just getting a sense of why he likes those, doing the orcs, as he calls it. And look, he's a composer. He's composed operas and symphonies and done all sorts of stuff. And of course, on Sunday night, right before we record this, he's on 60 Minutes because he's working with a guy who has captured animal sounds over the course of his life. And now he's writing an orchestra set with these animal noises, which I got to say is a pretty neat project. Of course, he came off as, very astute on 60 Minutes there, but it was funny during the show. The she-wolf, because he's doing his act and he's being very
grandiose.
Yeah, and having fun and, trying to get the crowd worked up and being a little silly. But she goes, he's a goof. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true. He's a little bit of a goof. I'm like, he's a very smart man. But yeah, he's got a certain joie de vivre for life, It's just kind of the way he is.
You told me that he was on 60 Minutes, and I didn't see it then, but I went back and watched it. And I was like, I don't care about this. Some guy that recorded animal noises, and then they put, this is fascinating. Oh, interesting. And the guy's, journey throughout the entire earth, getting all of these sounds, and then the way that he put them together, Copeland heard the sound.
Right.
Of whatever it is, the red-billed whatever. And then he's thinking, okay, I could take that and make that into a song. You got to figure that whoever was the first person to make a song, that's what it was. They heard something in nature and went, oh, I can beat this on a tree stump or something. So, and of course, they gave you the environmental message of we're totally screwed in the world. We're killing everything. And it makes this guy sad, and that sucked. But to see him, Copeland, with this giant notebook, I guess he really did. The police didn't do a whole bunch of notes, written out. It didn't seem like it. He's got this giant thing, and he's going through, and he's looking at, okay, if this person plays this other person plays this, orchestrating the whole thing. Yeah, he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, it's smart. Well, and they may have had notes, but it was like Sting's notebook, where he's like, no,
correct.
You don't get to see this kind of.
Well, yeah, it wasn't like every single note was written. It wasn't like, like when you see the orchestra, they have the music in front of them and you're following it literally note for note. I think that was just kind of, you hear something and then you fall into the groove. So, like I said, to see him with this giant notebook full of stuff is pretty impressive. And to get all of those people on to do the same thing is pretty cool for a dude who was drummer in a rock band.
Well, yeah, and of course on the 60 Minutes Overtime, which you can go to YouTube, anyone can go to YouTube and check it out, you can kind of get a tour of his studio, which is where he was when we were interviewing him. It's kind of where he was when our buddy Paul Stevenson of Vintage Rock Pod was interviewing him. It's where he works, so it makes sense he would do interviews from there. But he walked around a little bit with us so we could get a little bit of a tour. And he talked about, he used to bang on stuff with Neil there and Taylor Hawkins. And it's a good opportunity to be able to go in and get a better look at the whole thing there.
His laboratory.
Yes. But yeah, we're talking about from just this past weekend as we're recording this, April 17th at Whitney Hall, Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts. It's right downtown on Main Street, overlooking the river. It's where you go to grown-up kind of shows.
I was going to say this is a little bit out of our comfort zone because this is an actual, because I was looking at where it was, a place where they have orchestral hall. Yeah, this is we're classing the joint up here a little bit.
Once in a while I've seen B.B. King there, before he died. They also do stuff like musicals. Like I saw, we took the Wolf Cub to School of Rock there when she was little. They'll do the Pops performances. They'll do. I mean, like I said, it's for grown-ups. It's for the so-and-sos to say, oh yes, we went to the orchestra last night.
Correct.
It was wonderful.
Right, not with the heathens. We sat in our box.
Yes.
Although I went to go see School of Rock here, and for some reason, I don't know what it was, it just caught me. You remember, what's his name, Andrew Lloyd Webber? He used to do all the musicals.
Yeah.
What's he doing with himself now, I wonder? And he comes on, hello, this is Andrew Lloyd Webber talking about my School of Rock musical. Oh, I guess he's still doing it. Okay. Yeah, this guy.
He's worth more than Paul McCartney, I think,
know.
you know. It's like crazy.
Somebody was, this is off on a tangent, I'm sorry. Somebody told me they knew a guy that rented his flat in London.
Okay.
And in the flat, they had to remove a giant section of the wall so that they could crane in his grand piano and then repair the whole thing. Yeah, I'm like, that sounds all right.
It sounds like something that would need to happen for someone like him.
Well, you know, we can't do this. Well, if you cut open a giant hole, yeah, I guess.
Then
okay.
you could do it. Yeah,
sure. All right. Let me call the city to get some permits done.
But there's a phenomenon here in Louisville, Kentucky called Thunder over Louisville, which kind of kicks off the Kentucky Derby season. It's 2 weeks leading up to the big race day. And I mean, it's been called the biggest civic festival in the nation over those 2 weeks, in that there's all sorts of places to go eat. There's like silly races. There's, a balloon race. There's a steamboat race. The kids get the day off from the day before the Derby, which is called the Oaks, which is when the fillies run. And so, yeah, it's a great big thing. But Thunder is the largest fireworks celebration in the nation. They bring in a couple of barges, and there's a big bridge, and they fire stuff off for like 20 or 30 minutes, set to different pop music. And they start with, Thunderstruck by AC/DC to kind of get everybody going, of course. And then there's a bunch of pop music in there. If you go, you're absolutely insane, because there's like a couple 100,000 people on the first few blocks next to the river, and like streets are closed off, and you can't get on the highway for a while because it's too distracting. They close the highway and stop you. And then once it's over, they let you go, just because it's dangerous, because people be like, oh, look at the fireworks. And then they all run into each other. Right. So,
yeah.
So getting down there was probably a bad idea. And there's, all the parking lots were pretty full. Now, that was the next night, but still people are already down there in their hotel rooms, like taking up spaces in the parking lots. There's people walking around everywhere. So we did the whole Uber thing. And I got to tell you, even though the Uber there and home might have cost as much as the tickets did, still totally worth it, I would say. Totally worth it.
Traffic.
Yeah. Although I let the wife do the Uber because, she has to do that stuff all the time. We get in, heading down there, and all of a sudden I notice we're kind of going the wrong way on the highway. And I'm like, this is not the right way. Are you sure you put it in there right? Well, I mean, I think so. And there you go. You're always accusing me of stuff. Why is that? This is such... Oh, I put Whitney Hill, and she lives out, on the other side of town. I'm like, yeah, it's Whitney Hall. Just put 501 West Main Street. That's all you got to put. It's really easy. So he switched to the next exit off the highway. We got there, in plenty of time. And we sat up in the balcony, which I like, because you can see everyone in the orchestra.
Yeah, especially for something like this, because there are so many people. You don't want to be sitting front row center and looking at the feet of the people in the front.
Yeah, no, there's no way that there were less than 50 people on that stage.
Okay.
And I didn't sit there and count every one, but I kind of went, okay, well, that's about 10 people, and that's about 12 people, and that's about 10. So, I mean, I figure the orchestra, I think, is around 50 or between 50 and 60 folks, okay? Then, up front, there's Stewart and his kind of crew up there.
Because he's actually playing the drums, correct?
Absolutely. And for us, he's stage right.
Okay.
With his drum kit, he's kind of got the plastic barrier between him and the orchestra, so he doesn't blow them out, okay?
Right.
Then right next to him, well, I'm sorry, let's go the other way.
Well, now, wait, hold on, hang on. So when you say drum, this is like a traditional rock drum kit.
Well, yeah, and it's his. It's his kit, yeah, with all the splash cymbals and all the
it's
little
not like
things.
anything for the orchestra. This is a rock drum kit. Gotcha.
And he's got his tom, snare, all that stuff all around him. And he does address the crowd. He has a little microphone that he can sit from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you go back, so the orchestra's all behind him, and then stage left are 3 ladies. He mentioned that he had 3 women who sing to take over, Sting's parts and kind of do different things. Okay, their names are Carmel Helene, Lauren Beto, and Ashley Tamar. And sometimes they sing, because they kind of have different voices, so sometimes one sings one part, then one will sing another part and come in together or whatever. Sometimes they're all together, but it really made for, I don't know, it kind of classed it up a little bit. I mean, not that Sting isn't Mr. Class himself. Don't tell him that he's not. He'll freak out. But
He'll sue you.
Yeah, exactly. But they just added a little something there, and I thought that they were really awesome. And then in the center is the place for the conductor to be there. Mm-hmm. And then for us to the right of him, behind him, is a guitar player who is Rusty Anderson, basically doing a lot of Andy Summers parts. And then there's the bassist, Armand Sabal-Lecco. Now, obviously, we're there to see Stewart Copeland. He helped record these songs back in the day. But I got to tell you, that guy, Armand, he was the man. His bass was prominent. And obviously, Sting has written some pretty memorable bass lines throughout his life and in the Police music. But, this guy was really funking them up. And I feel like he was turned up pretty high this night.
Now, are we talking electric bass, or are we talking acoustic stand-up bass?
No, it was electric. It was
electric. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it was kind of like the Police and an orchestra, because you had an electric guitar, electric bass, drum kit, and the orchestra.
That's right.
Got it. Okay.
That's right. And Bob Bernhardt was the conductor that day. So while Stewart's out there playing and addressing the crowd and he's playing his drums, Bob Bernhardt is playing the orchestra, if you will.
And is he the conductor of the Louisville Orchestra, or this is somebody he brings with him?
No. He is in his 27th season as the Pops conductor for the orchestra, and and so and he's also in his 13th season as music director emeritus of the Chattanooga Symphony. Mm-hmm. So he's been doing this a long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, the people love him, and I think the musicians really respect him too. He's apparently not like one of those Eastern European, conductors who just screams at them and tells them, he's a pretty positive guy from what I understand. I've never met him, but that's it. And so the orchestra kind of starts some stuff, and then eventually Stewart Copeland comes out, and he's regaling us with some of his stories, and just his personality is so strong. Now, there's no recording of any kind, so I didn't get a whole lot of like crowd work or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's stuff, some of which we've heard before, and to us, it was nothing, to you and me, I would say, it would be nothing like crazy, like, yeah, that's just who he is, that's the way he acts, and he's trying to get everybody into it. But at one point, after my wife said, he's kind of a goof, then later, I think when we were walking out, she was like, did you know he was like that before you brought us here? I'm like, okay. Well, first of all, yes, I've interviewed the man. Secondly, yeah, I mean, I've been watching him since I'm 9 or 10 years old. I know him back to front. I mean, as far as someone who's never met him face to face could know him, yes, I know exactly how he is. Because I don't know if she was thinking, because, orchestras are usually fairly serious affairs. And
correct. Yeah.
That's just not the way he comes off. It's important to him because of the way he's like being so demonstrative and using big words and all that kind of stuff, but it's a performance. Mm-hmm. And so he's trying to keep his energy up, trying to keep the orchestra's energy up, and he wants your energy up as well. It's fun, and the Wolf Cub loved it. Just absolutely loved it. She thought it was great. But, I mean, part of that's because she knows the songs, right? I mean, if you take her to a classical thing, she might appreciate it, but she doesn't know the songs inside and out. But, like, she knows all these Police songs because I've indoctrinated her into listening to this, and she was a little kid. So that's the way it is.
Hi, this is Stewart Copeland, and you're listening to your radio, or your box of some kind. It's tuned to the ugly American Werewolf in London.
And it doesn't look like, and I mean, we'll go into the set list, but it doesn't look, most of these are hits. I mean, there are a couple of deep tracks, but not too many. Right. So I would imagine that most Police fans would be very familiar with these selections.
Yeah, true, no doubt about it, but there's some that he deranged so much that they are very different.
Okay.
And a couple are like, it's pretty true to what it is. And then some, it's like, wow, that's incredibly different.
Like you hear the vocals and you say, okay, now I know what song this is. Didn't know it before. Now I know it.
And there was a couple of times there was like, will you know this right away? You know, and they start off and like, I might know it, but everyone's like, I think I do. And then they have to start singing. But yeah, but we can run through that.
This every breath you take. They're not all every breath you take. Shut up.
That's funny. Yeah. So they start off doing Demolition Man, which I always liked that one. I know Sting redid it, I think, for the movie Demolition Man with Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone. Wasn't Sandra Bullock in that?
She was.
She was so hot back then.
She really, really was. She was on the red carpet recently, and I was thinking about that to myself. Like, yeah, there was a time when she was just the go-to brunette.
I know. Now she's got that. She's done that face stuff, and sorry, Sandy, you lost me. But it was cool to hear Demolition Man and the way Stewart's banging on it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I love King of Pain, that song, so I was totally psyched. I was like, oh yeah, this is good. And he starts off donk, donk, hitting. I mean, that's the thing. He still hits all of his signature flares and runs on these songs. So even if it's like different, and you're like, wow, this is very different from the album, he's still hitting his drums on the most important parts, still doing those little pieces so well. And all that little reggae stuff that he does. It's just cool to see that, he still does the stuff that we love, but he can kind of reinvent it a little bit. I mean, some of these songs are nearly 50 years old.
You're correct, yes. Quickly, what was the crowd like? Were these all police fans, or were there some orchestra people who maybe didn't understand what was going on?
I mean, by the way people were dressed and by their age, I'd say they're there to hear the Police songs.
Okay.
They're not just, I mean, sure, there's people there who get season tickets and go to everything, I'm sure.
Right.
But, I mean, everyone's fairly casually dressed on this evening.
Okay.
And,
so I would say, yeah, they probably were there. They were familiar with the Police catalog.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and this actually kind of seems like more of a big deal than I thought. Looking at the tour list, there aren't that many, and Louisville was one. And Stewart, when we talked to him, sang the praises of the Louisville Orchestra. So big deal that he came to town. Obviously, this is a first-class, big-time organization.
Yeah, I mean, the Brown family has donated so much money to the city of Louisville over the years, especially to the arts. And they helped build the building. They help give to it every year. Maybe the family members have tickets, or, they can certainly get them because they're benefactors for decades. That's just the way it is. So yeah, we're fortunate that we have such great music and even acting between that place and Actors Theater. We have benefactors of the arts in our town, despite the fact that it's not huge. Although, I saw the other day when it was a city population list, like here are the biggest 50 cities in the nation. And obviously part of that is not just the actual city limits, but also the surrounding area.
Okay, yeah.
Louisville's like in the top 25 or top 30 biggest cities. And then there's like 20 or 25 cities that have major sports teams that are smaller than Louisville behind them. So I always say that Louisville's like the biggest place that doesn't have a major sports team. It's about true. And yeah, it's a bigger place than people think it is. Oh, you're in Kentucky where there are 10,000 people there. I'm like, well, there's like 1.5 million to 2 million in the greater area. But yeah, so we've got the people to support this kind of stuff. I think it's awesome. But like I said, you can't always convince an 11-year-old to go to the orchestra. But if you do it with songs she knows, then she's pretty psyched for it.
Yeah. And it is cool that maybe you get, who knows, maybe you get some people who've never listened to any kind of orchestral music into this through songs that you know.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah, exactly. So it's smart, I think, on their part, just because it's not the 1800s anymore. Orchestra is not the number one form of entertainment or music that you can hear. So you've got to get people in somehow. So giving them a little bit more modern take. And yes, playing songs from 48 years ago is modern for the orchestra, I would say. And speaking of 48 years ago, yeah, I mean, the Roxanne was the third song. And this is one they kind of mixed up a lot that you couldn't necessarily pick it out right away.
Okay.
Yeah, and they kind of sang in it. Sang the lyrics correctly, of course, but sang in a little bit different way and together and stuff. And I thought, okay, well, that is a derangement. That's very different from the kind of pseudo punk song that you created back in the day, Stingo. But the cool one was the one you liked, which was next, Murder by Numbers.
Yes, and on Roxanne, maybe you don't need to tell your daughter this is about a prostitute.
No.
Yeah, it's just a fun song to listen to. Yeah, I was excited for this one because this translated very well. On the recording that I heard, the female voices, no offense to your friend and mine Sting, were a lot sexier, and to me this just kind of lent itself to that kind of cool jazzy arrangement that he did.
You just do it with a little more finesse. If you can slip a diamond into someone's coffee, then it avoids an awful lot of mess. Blinded by numbers, 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABCs. Blinded by.
Yeah, you could see there was more horns in this one, and it sounded just like the album, those bits, I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. You take all these little pieces and you can let little things stand out, and it wasn't, was it a B-side? I feel like it was a bonus track on Synchronicity or something.
It was a bonus track on the cassette and then later on the CD. It wasn't on the original album. And so when we talked to Stewart, he's like, well, that's kind of an obscure track. I'm like, I never thought so. I always loved this song.
Well, yeah, I had it on the cassette. So, I knew the track.
Yeah.
I guess it's like Ride Easy on Asia. They were just kind of giving away tracks on cassettes back in the day. But he said that. He's like, some of these I really wanted to derange up and mess up and do something totally different with.
Right.
Some of them I had to basically keep the same. And I couldn't mess them up too much. I had to be true to the original kind of
Well,
thing.
you figure that makes sense on a song like Roxanne because everybody knows that song.
Right.
Every Police fan. So, yeah, you can mess with it and people say, oh, okay, I remember this. But yeah, maybe some of these other ones, you're like, yeah, I don't really remember that. And it doesn't sound like anything that I knew.
Yeah. But when they do Spirits of the Material World, I think it's one of, everyone's very favorites.
Yeah.
And they can use strings to kind of help with the kind of reggae guitar on there. Mm-hmm. And then the girls can sing together and one go, we are spirits. And then they all go, in the material, and kind of beef that up a little bit. So that's pretty cool. You go from one that everyone knows really well in Roxanne, but they derange it. And then you go to Murder by Numbers, which is one maybe they don't know as well. By the way, Sandra Bullock made a movie called Murder by Numbers, and they used the song in the movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to check it out.
Well, I think it was Sandra Bullock. It was some pot girl, and I thought it was her. She played basically like a cop searching a serial killer or something like that.
Okay.
And then Spirits of the Material World was kind of not only a hit, but one they kind of did more traditionally with the help of the three ladies. And then One World, Not Three. I always liked that song. One world is enough for all of us. And it's, they get to put some percussion in there. Bop-a-da-bop-a-da-bop,
I would say this is probably one of the more obscure tracks for this set list.
Maybe so. Yeah, it was not a huge hit.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Although we did see there's a music video for it.
Right. Right. And I love this song. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying I think if you are a casual Police fan, you may not know this one.
True. But you should know Walking on the Moon.
Uh-huh.
And that was a good one. It's a slow down song. But what's really cool is, as we mentioned, he has done symphonies before. He's done operas before. He's done movie scores and television scores.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did the Equalizer score. Back in the day, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With Edward Woodward. And so when it came to this, he came out from behind the drums. Bob took a break, and Stewart came out to the conductor stand.
Oh, okay.
It's like, what do you call a drummer with one drumstick? A conductor, of course. And he threw one drumstick down. He took his other drumstick, and he started leading them in. It's called The Equalizer Busy Equalizing, which is just kind of very much his personality. Mm-hmm. And so he's doing stuff from the Equalizer. And he's doing this. And of course, the wife's like, are they really paying attention to him? Are they paying attention to their book, knowing where they have to go next? I'm like, for the most part, they're paying attention to where they have to go next. But he's helping keep the tempo up.
You're really doing both at the same time. Yes, you are looking at the music to know what you're playing, but you are also kind of keeping an eye on him because, that's the tempo. And if you mess that up, you don't want that to be you. Let me put it to you that way.
Well, exactly. But God bless her, she did notice something that was like, he's left-handed. Did you notice he was left-handed? Because he's conducting with his left hand the whole time.
Interesting.
And I'm like, I didn't know that, but that makes sense, that whole left brain, right brain thing. He must be in his right brain because he's left-handed, and that would explain his talent and creativity and seeing the world a little bit differently there.
Well, and it's hard, too, to figure that out with a drummer unless you really study how the kit is set up because they're using both hands. Easy to tell a left-handed guitar player because it's not what you're used to
Because it's
seeing.
weird. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, correct. What's wrong with you? That's weird.
Yeah. So, and, he does that and he has a lot of fun up there. And then when it's over, he just kind of grabs the microphone and is like, we need to take a break for a minute, maybe more than a minute, but it won't be long. We'll be back. And they do an intermission for like 20 minutes. It was longer than I thought it was going to be.
House lights come up. Everybody leaves their seat. They go to the bar area, maybe.
Or at this age, I have a feeling they were going to the bathroom, these people. And I think the girls went, which was probably a pretty good idea. But then I realized, that means our Uber home is going to have to come a lot later. So I had to get the wife to change it a few times.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have to miss the end of the show. But then they come back from the intermission. They kind of start up. And you know what? He was interacting with the crowd a lot, too. And some people would shout dumb stuff. And he'd be like, yeah, whatever, dude. And then one guy said, more cowbell. And he had to stand up without the microphone, start screaming at him, and goes, you want cowbell, you're gonna have to earn it. Because he wanted people to sing along. It's like, I've heard of your reputation, the amazing Louisville singing people, or whatever. And it was like, okay, this is what you want from us, and we can all sing along or whatever. But it was just, he knows what he's doing. It's not like he's a rookie at this.
Right.
For performing, he's not a rookie at conducting, he's not a rookie at doing this with orchestras and being out front, so it's fun. But they come back with Every Breath You Take, and you might not have known it right away. I did.
Okay.
But you might not have known it right away. And it's a little different, but of course everybody's there for that, and the Wolf Cubs singing along to it.
Right.
I'm actually glad you kind of go ahead and get this out of the way. This should not be the last song.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it would be too, and I looked at this set list, and I'm glad it's not because you're always thinking, when are they going to do this? So we've got it out of the way now, and so it was one of those, like, you hear this and you're like, I don't know what this is, and then they start to sing, and then you say, okay, I've got it now.
I get it, yeah.
Yeah.
But what was interesting about the next bit was it's kind of a jam for the orchestra. Stewart goes and picks up an electric guitar.
Uh-oh.
Comes back out front.
Oh, boy.
He's kind of, Bob is in charge of the orchestra, clearly, but then Stewart's kind of in front of him. It's like the singers, Stewart, Bob's behind a couple steps and facing the other way, obviously.
Correct.
And then the guitarist and the bassist are over there. And so Stewart's got a guitar out and he's making some noise. And I'm like, well, he's no Andy Summers or Jimmy Page or anything like that. But he's just a musician who can do so many things. Mm-hmm. And, if they're going to jam, he wants to jam a little bit too. He's on the drums plenty. Why not let him do that? And he didn't come up with any kind of amazing, nasty solos. He kind of hit some big power chords. It's like, it's so much fun to hit these big power chords with an orc. You have no idea, And then he would hit some smaller notes and that kind of went along with it. But basically, he was hitting some big old chords and just having fun. And I have to admire him for that. He's not just sitting behind the drums, not just telling police stories. He's enjoying his life and showing a different side of him, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, showing a little more musical aptitude that perhaps you didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go look at him in his studio, there's like 1,000 instruments in there.
Yes.
And he can get something out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it should shock people that he can play a little bit of guitar. But I bet the Wolf Cub could have done what he did, too, on guitar, given the chance to do so. Anyway, they cruise through The Bed's Too Big Without You, and he's back on the drums, and he's doing some of the stuff. But Don't Stand So Close to Me, he really did meld the two different ones together.
Interesting. Okay, so you're talking about Don't Stand So Close to Me and Don't Stand So Close to Me, 86.
Right. So it was
Ew.
like, and they would kind of do the verses differently, and then they do the choruses kind of back to back, which is weird. So it'd be like, don't stand so. And then immediately it was like, close to me, you know, like it would, so it would move, it would
Okay.
mold the two of them together,
Interesting.
which they kind of did when they got back together. It was more like they would do one way. They'd do the slow one, and then they would do the fast one. It's like a whole nother verse, right? But these were really tight, like kind of intertwined. Like I never would have imagined he would invent that.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
And so it was cool. I mean, it's different than any way you've ever heard it ever. No doubt about it. But that's what I guess you have to do when there's two versions of the song. I would have thought maybe he'd go back to just the original, but I know that he did like it, despite the fact that he was in a sling or whatever he'd done to himself when they had to record that 86 version.
Yeah. I think when they did that, the drums on the original recording of the 86 version, I think were just electronic loops because, he couldn't play.
Which is too bad.
Right?
Yeah.
But apparently they even fought about that. Like Sting's like, I want different ones. All right.
It's like, that's it. I got a solo album waiting on me.
I knew I couldn't work with you people.
They'll just do whatever I tell them to. They won't say, that's not what I want. They'll say, yes, sir, Mr.
Sure.
Sting,
Yes,
right
sir,
away.
yes. Can I play that better for you, sir?
In fact, I think I'll do that the rest of my life. Well, and then Message in a Bottle's great, and he threw, you know the flares on Message in a Bottle.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, just awesome. And the crowd loved it. Wolf Cub loved it. It was great. Just, that's what we're here for, right? Kind of thing. And then the last song before the encore is Can't Stand Losing You.
Okay.
But they put a little more Regatta de Blanc stuff in there, I feel like. It wasn't just Can't Stand Losing You. It was throwing a little extra in there for you. So it wasn't just the straight up Can't Stand Losing You. And they did sing the suicide line.
Okay.
But it was just very different than the straight up punk song that they did back in the day.
I kind of wonder about that. You record a song at a time in your career, and this was off the first record.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that later? Like, it's 5-6 years later, like, man, I would have played that differently.
I could have redone that one, yeah.
Especially if you start, as a drummer, you start maybe listening to different kind of music or getting into other musicians. Yeah, maybe I would have done. Now you get a chance to do that. Now you get a chance to put a little bit of a different flavor in there.
That's right. So people go nuts, and it's been, almost 2 hours, at this point.
Uh-huh.
And of course, for the encore, it's Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, which has got,
You had to
people
stay for
happy.
that. Yeah.
And I had to stay for the beginning because the Uber had to come, right? So, and he's right on time, right outside. And that worked out just perfectly. And we got home in no time. It was great. But just the smiles on people's faces during Every Little Thing She Does Magic. As I've said on this show, in my private life, and I even did it on my weekly mixtape, our buddy Brian was like, tell me, your favorite song of all time and why. I'm like, well, it's hard to do just one song.
Right.
Because, what about when Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic comes on the radio and you're instantly in a good mood, and you just crank it right up. Not my favorite, but it's a game changer in your day,
Uh-huh.
And I just deny anybody the ability to be unhappy or continue to have a shitty day. When that comes on, instantly you're in a better mood, aren't you? I am.
Yeah, and it's not even one of those songs where it's like, you hear it and you think, oh, this is a happy song, but then you listen and you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's some weird stuff going on. Like, Every Breath You Take.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to that and you're like, wait a minute, is this about like some guy what is this? But Every Little Thing, nope, it's just straight ahead. It's happy. It's about being in love. It's a fantastic song.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on Walking on the Moon, he kind of did stop when he's talking about the amazing Louisville singing people, He needed us to say, yo, 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 yo. So we would sing back to him during Walking on the Moon. Yo, 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 yo. But then Every Little Thing She Does Magic, there's, at the end, it's E-O, E-O. And then there was kind of a little bit of call and response there. The girls would do one and the crowd would do one. It's fun. It's a fun way to do it. So honestly, I loved it, and the whole family loved it. And that, to me, made it worth it, because I have to kind of pick now my rock shows. Which ones do I want to go to alone? Because it's not appropriate for the little one and the older one doesn't like it. Or which one am I going to just take on a date night, for the two of us to have some adult time out? Or what if it's just going to be me and the kid, because I know she'll love it and the big one won't. To find something that is family friendly that we're all going to enjoy is not actually that easy to do. It might be too kiddish for the grown-ups. It might be a little too grown-up for the kids, whatever. This is perfect. This is a perfect night out for a family so that you get to see your favorite songs from growing up. You get to see a funny, entertaining man lead the way. You get to see a real orchestra do their thing. And I mean, in this day and age, it's not like, oh, so-and-so has a new symphony out. Do you want to go see it? There are certainly some people who are like that.
Sure.
But the vast majority of people are not. So you got to get them in there somehow. And I think this is super smart of Stewart and smart of the orchestra to want to have something a little more contemporary like this. And both of them are like, thank you so much for bringing us to this tonight. Thank you so much for putting this together. So, I mean, I don't see any others on his schedule right now, but if you have a real orchestra in your town, eventually he will do this. Now, I think this summer, and we're obviously approaching summer very quickly, he's going to do the Have I Said Too Much?
The spoken word tour.
Word tour. So hopefully you might get a chance to see him do that if he's taking a break from orcs during the summer. But I would highly recommend not just going for someone of our generation who is a Police fan, but take the whole family and don't let them have their phones. Make them put that stuff away. Which was, you had to during our thing.
Good.
No pictures, no videos, no recording of any kind. Which I honored. Not everybody did, but I was happy to honor that.
Because why would you? That's just a suggestion for other people, not you. No, I want you to do this. Everybody else should put their phones away.
There's a couple canoodling like in front of us. And I'm like, I thought they might have gone out and screwed in the bathroom during the intermission. Like they couldn't keep their hands off each other. And then when they got back, she was ready to take pictures and record a little bit. I'm like, put that down, you hooker. You're supposed to be paying attention.
This wasn't a member of Congress, was it?
No, but they kind of looked like the same age as the people who got busted at the Coldplay show up in New England.
Ooh, uh-oh.
I'm like,
extracurricular.
They both did. I'm like, you guys look just like those people, Are you supposed to be here right now? Are you sure?
Because this doesn't seem like it lends itself to that much affection, but okay, sure.
So, I don't think Stewart Copeland really needs money anymore. But like Charlie Watts said, when you're a drummer, it's hard to just sit at home, You kind of have to get out there and play. So I think this satisfies his itch to play live. I think it satisfies his itch to be a composer and rework things and work with other musicians, tell a couple of stories.
And I think you're right too. If Stewart Copeland were to announce, "Hey, I've written this new orchestra piece. Come down and see it."
Some people would, but
But hey, I've reworked Police songs that you've loved for years. Okay, now we've got that connection to get people in the door.
Yeah. I would go see him do his speaking tour. It's up in Cincinnati, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. Plus, there's so much going on this summer that I don't know if I'll have the opportunity to do so. But, hats off to the Louisville Orchestra. Hats off to Bob Bernhardt.
That was another thing, too, that he said when we interviewed him. I think they get that music not too far ahead out before the performance. So, yeah, that's impressive that they can put that all together very quickly.
Yeah, what did he say? Certainly he sends them the music and then they can work on it.
But it's not like months ahead of time, though. It's fairly close to the performance. And he only meets with them the day of.
That's right. He comes in Saturday afternoon and they play together for like 2.5 hours. And then he goes back, gets his stage stuff on. And then he comes out and does the performance for nearly 2 hours. Yes, there's a break. Maybe they're only playing for about an hour and a half total or something like that. But still, that's what he does. Yeah. And then, I remember saying, I can't wait to take a shower after that performance. That's the reward, because you got the hot lights on you. You're playing the drums. You're running around and you're worried about certain things. People might have questions for you that you have to answer because this is your orchestration of your songs. Gordon M. Sumner's songs, but your songs that you helped create and arrange in the first place.
I'm glad everybody had a good time, because I was thinking, well, is everybody going to have a good time during this performance? So I'm glad that worked out.
Well, and, some props to Bob Bernhardt there. It's his 27th season as principal pops conductor of the Louisville Orchestra and his 43rd consecutive season here. 43 years is a long time.
Jeez, yeah.
His 13th season as musical director emeritus of Chattanooga Symphony and an opera, where he was musical director for 19 seasons. So I guess he's balancing his time. In 2015, he was named principal pops conductor of Grand Rapids Symphony. So I guess there's seasons.
Yeah.
And he does a season here and a season there and a season whatever. Went to USC for his master's degree. So, hey, thank you, Bob, for helping them do that. He's worked with the Beach Boys, the B-52s, the Violent Femmes, Winona, and with Ben Folds, Randy Newman. That's got to be a pretty big deal. Patti LuPone, good old Patti. And he even worked at the Nashville Opera. So he's obviously a real talent. But I just got to thank Stewart Copeland for coming on our show and thank him for doing these orchestra. Really just kind of thank him for keeping this police music alive. Just in a different way. Right. It's been now almost 20 years since their reunion tour. Jeez. And while Sting continues to do some Police songs when he does his Sting stuff, people will be easy to forget about Police. Not for me, not for us. Even Stewart kind of said it while we were on there. Like, did people even remember me? The Police were so long ago. I'm like, they're eternal though, man. Beethoven was a long time ago too.
Right. Yeah. And I think going back and listening to those records also, even though they were recorded at a certain time, they still sound good today. They still sound like something you enjoy listening to. But I get him, it's we came in on the tail end of that when we were kids.
Right.
But yeah, they will be forever in our good graces.
That was a fun night at the orchestra with Stewart Copeland doing his Police Deranged 4 orchestra. Fun night for the family, really. I loved it. As Jackson and I maybe didn't talk enough about on the show, but have over the years, the Police were really important to us. The Police were so important in developing the foundation of rock music that we love. When they came on during the Synchronicity years on MTV, we're talking 1983, when we're like 9, 10, 11 years old, it just impacted us in a big way. Those songs were huge. And I had the cassette of Synchronicity, and I listened to it backwards and forwards, knew all those songs by heart. Same with Jackson, although he may have had the LP. Bottom line is, we want to keep this music alive. And obviously Stewart Copeland does as well, because he's taking this, he's reworking it with a bunch of amazing musicians, some of which he's just meeting for the first time that day, and playing these songs in a way that's fun and can capture multiple generations' imaginations through the performance. I thought it was great. Now, like we said, this is not something he takes on tour with a full orchestra. He brings 5 people with him and comes to a town with an orchestra with a real conductor. So if your city has one of those, then maybe he'll come visit. And if you don't, then you have no chance. But maybe you could catch him on his Have I Said Too Much spoken word tour. I know that he's coming to Cincinnati this summer, I think in July. Don't know if we'll make it to that or not. But if you have a chance to, I would recommend it because he is entertaining. He's not afraid to share the police war stories. He's very energetic and enthusiastic, so he makes for a fun interview. It's an entertaining night, whether Stewart Copeland is playing his drums or just talking about his days in the police. And I feel very fortunate that we got it here in Louisville, and I'm going to recommend to you, if you have the chance, please don't skip it. And we want to know, folks, do we get something right? Do we get something wrong? Do we miss the point? Do we leave out your favorite part? You email us and let us know. It's uglyaamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. Let us know the bands, the albums, the tours, the concerts, books, DVDs, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. And we need you to download and subscribe wherever you get your shows. But if you really want to help us out, hey, go give us a 5-star review. Doesn't matter where. It just means the world to us. It helps us find more rock and rollers like you. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, RareVinyl.com, where if you use the code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. And yes, they have some killer police stuff in their catalog. That's it for this week. We have some cool guests coming up on First Concert Memories, talking about some great moments in their lives. We're bringing back some repeat offender guests to tell us some new stories, which we're really excited about, so you're going to have to stay tuned. And until next time, to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.